search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO. So I'm sure you've heard of it. But the big thing with SEO is that I think a lot of people think that it's one thing. You know, a lot of us get these spam mails, especially if you run a business or you've been in business for a little while. We get a lot of people that, you know, say we can guarantee first ranking in Google in like a month or, 2 weeks or whatever it is. So I just want to caution you, be wary of those emails and those types of people, because a good SEO consultant, company, business, what have you, it takes time. You know, SEO is a process of things, which I'm going to go through here. And just know that it's not a single thing. It is cumulative. It's a lot of moving pieces. It takes time and patience and adjustments. You're going to constantly be making micro adjustments as you move along, and you're going to have to be creating content. So the bulk of this and the core of getting your website to rank is content. Okay, so just wanted to park that in your brain and preface that before we get into it. Okay, so what is SEO? Essentially, it's just how do we get Google, because I mean, there are other search engines, but mainly it's Google. How do we get the Google gods to understand what our site is, see it as a valuable website, and when someone searches for a keyword pertaining or that is relevant to your business, they serve up your website or serve up your blog post or whatever content piece you have on your website. And by doing so, that's what gets you to rank. So you have to remember that there's a couple things here. One, Google is just a robot and has these spiders that crawl your site and just scan it to see what the site is about. So we have to make sure on page we're saying the right keywords. We have to make sure that your URL slugs are proper, they contain keywords, that your content is valuable, so that these robots can decipher what your page is about, what your whole website and what your services are about. And then beyond that, the backlinks or the other sources that link to you will play a role, as we'll see in a bit. It's just all about providing the right answer for the user. Because Google is, yes, there's lots of ways it makes money, but its main premise is to provide a good experience so that people come back. It wants to maintain its reputation too. So it doesn't want to just serve up any old site that has the keywords. That's kind of what happened back in the day. But now what's happening is it's much more intelligent, and these algorithms understand what is valuable based on how long someone stays, based on, are they searching around the site after they see the main content that's served up. So if I'm searching something on Google, I'm expecting to get good quality results and good quality information. And so if your website contains those bits and it is good, valuable information, Google's going to serve you up. And if people then start looking at your blog site and start going through more of your content, the time they spend on your site, it's only going to increase your basically your validity, your credibility of your site, right? So the idea is that Google wants to give really good results. So then you have to then create content that Google would want to serve up. That, if someone is searching for your product, you have to have a reason why Google would send it to them. So it's all about the content. But basically that's it. It's just, if I, as a user, type in a keyword or a phrase, a how-to, whatever, that pertains to your sphere of, products or influence, or just basically what your product is about, your industry, then if you have value that can help me answer my question, then Google's going to sync us up. They're going to connect us. So that's in essence what we want to do. We want to just rank well on search engines because we have valuable content to share. Okay. And so this is what I was alluding to before. There's a lot of pieces here, as we can see. So your website is it's one piece. One could look at it's kind of a catchphrase we say all the time, but it's like the hub and spoke. So on the wheel, the website is your hub, and all the spokes that come out of it is various things. Some you can control, some you can't. So with your website being your hub, you're going to have a few things that influence basically its ranking, its credibility in Google's eyes. So one of the things being backlinks. So what other sources are linking to you? What sources are you linking to? Are they credible sources? So there's just a lot of, some tricks we'll talk about, but basically just think of can you blog post on popular domains in your industry? Can you get them to link to you and share your articles or share your content? Maybe you put stats and other information and you reference them, Wikipedia being one. But again, you got to think of what is strong or credible sources in your industry. And if, you're linking to them, they're linking to you, then it only boosts you up as well. Keywords. So we're going to get into that in a moment here, but that's just basically we're going to do some research. We're going to go over how to do that. But it's basically topics and specific words within those topics. Those are your keywords. Those are the words that we're going to try to weave into your content pieces so that when someone searches for, again, that relevant keyword, you're going to have content that's valuable that hopefully Google will share with them. Social media, linking to back and forth. Again, that then increases your rankings depending on how much credibility and content you have. And then optimization being bits like, again, the on-page and off-page stuff, your URLs, are there enough keywords in the page? Is it descriptive enough? Does it read well too? That's another thing too. Like back in the day, you used to be able to keyword stuff pages, and it looked messy. It wasn't meant for humans. Like it wasn't really legible. It wasn't an enjoyable read. Whereas now, again, with Google's being more intelligent and the algorithms, it has to be laid out well so that as a human, I can actually read it. So it's like a proper essay. It's got main titles, a main heading, right? And then subtitles, and it takes me through this journey, and then it allows me to understand the information versus back in the olden days, you could just write whatever and keyword stuff. And then because you have a lot of the keywords, it thinks that that site or that page is relevant. Whereas now there's a lot more that goes into it. So again, just bear in mind here, all your content pieces, all the links, all the, the components are playing together to say, hey, this website, let's say your website, is a valuable source when it comes to this product or this topic. So it's all those pieces together, and it's like, how do we make your site stand out for that topic or keywords? Because again, it is a very slow process. And here, it varies, but it can take up to 8 to 12, so basically up to a year to rank well for certain things. And so it's almost better not to think of where you're ranking. Like, obviously pay attention, know what's happening, but the better way is to just create good content, listen to your customers, see what people are asking, and be helpful and answer the questions. So in a little bit here, I'll be using a dog food example. So again, if you're in that world and let's say you sell organic or healthy dog treats or dog food, then there's a ton of subtopics beyond just dog food that you can create, and that's what you want to be. So you want to be this information resource. So your blog is a place to be for anyone with a dog. So you're coming there obviously to share the ways to take care of your dog. It's ways for the different nutrition and the health, and perhaps it's different ingredients or dog types, dog food types for larger dogs versus small dogs, active breeds versus, whatever. So it's just, there's going to be a whole subcategory of a ton of stuff we can talk about, but it's that kind of stuff. And then from there, you can jump on to different social media platforms and engage with those people. Because again, all you're doing here is becoming, your blog post or your website as a resource for, dog owners. But then not only do you want to establish your website and your blog as a resource for dog owners, but you yourself become that expert in that world. So then if, someone locally runs across someone else that is looking to get a dog or is asking dog, nutrition questions or, dog food questions, then they go, you got to talk to so-and-so because they're that dog person that, they know all the nutrition for dogs. They have this business that they create these organic dog treats and dog food. So, got to check them out. So it's, again, being the local hero first before moving on. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself, so we'll go through this. But all in all, it's about the value and, know that you're ranking, and the more content and the longer your site and your business is around and more people talk about you, eventually you rank higher, higher, and higher, right? So don't be discouraged if you write a bunch of content and nothing happens, because literally it could take up to a year. So bear that in mind. Keyword research. Okay, so the first thing before we start, there's a few ways I'm going to show you here how to understand what types of content or topics you should be talking about. And we're going to do it with some data, as well as just some basic inspiration here. But, in your mind, you might think people are searching for one thing, but when we look into it, no one's actually searching for that keyword at all. So, using these tools like Google Keyword Planner is a great way to get things rolling and just to make sure that you are on the right track, because with Keyword Planner, Google is the search engine god here. They're going to tell you exactly what people are searching for and what you should be spending your time creating content about. So to start, keywords are the exact words. So the topic could be the word, but generally the topic can be a little broader, and then the keywords are the specific words that you want to weave into it. So your keywords are like little markers or flags that say to Google, hey, this is what this blog post is about, or what this whole website or this business is about. So again, marking that in: dog food, organic dog treats, homemade dog treats. Like, these are all types of keywords that you could use because they're variations of a topic, but you're trying to think, how would someone actually type that in? Like how to make natural dog treats, how to make, or best food for, best natural foods for my dog. So again, think of like you're trying to put yourself in the shoes of someone who is searching for things that pertain to dog food and dog nutrition. And so those are the keywords you'll be weaving into your blog posts and creating content about, if we're talking about dog food. So you have to expand that out and think and do research on what that means in your industry and what that means for your business. But that's the premise, right? And content creation, basically writing a blog, is going to be the foundation of all of this. That is the only way. It's content. And then the content can also be video, it can be other formats, but basically on your site, it's going to be the blog. And then beyond your site, you can do, there's your Instagram, there's YouTube. YouTube is another great one if you haven't jumped into that, because that is essentially a search engine as well, just in video format. So you can get a lot of traffic that crosses back and forth. Also great to promote like your products or upcoming products, things like that. But basically promote your business once you build an audience. But again, side of tangent here, always be helpful. So basically look at your site, your main pages, your product pages, your service pages can be your more salesy pages. And then your blog, your content that you put out, YouTube, that kind of stuff, those should be all helpful types of content that is helping others in your industry, helping others that could be your potential customers. It's the more you help, the better it comes back to you. It's the idea of just doing good business. Don't be afraid to share, because some people they bogart their information and knowledge. They think that if I share everything, then they're not going to need me, or why would they work with me? It's quite the opposite. It's the more you establish that you're helpful and you know what you're talking about, chances are people will reciprocate, want to support, or reach out to you, because they can only do so much themselves. We'll start by brainstorming and researching the topics that are related to your business. So again, let's just run with this healthy dog food treats. And so first off, I would use, again, the Google Keyword Planner. You can search in Google itself and see what it auto completes for you to get ideas. And Reddit is great. Engage in certain subreddits and those groups, see what people are asking. We're going to run through that. And then Wikipedia as well is really great, because it is just this, it's an encyclopedia of information. And so you can see how they've broke it down, how people have added content that's related to the main topic. And so again, we'll walk through that. But the idea here is to just create a bunch of topics that you think you should talk about that pertain to your industry. And then as we start to get into it, you'll drill down and we'll get more granular, which is then the keywords that we'll use to create the content. Log into Google Keyword Planner. You have to create a Google Ads account. It doesn't cost anything. You can use it, and then if you want to run ads later on, you can do so. That's a whole nother topic in itself, which might be another video or course or something. We'll see. But basically, I just want to show you here. I did a quick entry. So I typed in dog food. Now this is where you can get a little more specific for you. So wherever you're from, so we're in London, Ontario. So I might type in dog food, London, Ontario, best dog food, natural dog food. Like, again, you just type in a bunch of variations And then once you have your main keyword in or keywords, it'll tell you what's going on here. So it is a high, dog food is very generic. So that's not actual keyword you would want to compete for because it's a little too generic. You might want to compete for maybe like, dog food shop, store in London, Ontario. So those are long tails. The more keywords you add in succession, that becomes more long tail. And those are generally less searched, but easier to rank for and are related to the main keywords. So you're going to have to, get a little creative and figure out what keywords pertain to your core keyword you're trying to aim for, but perhaps it's not always that one because it can be highly competitive, but you can weave it into your content as well. But yeah, that's just something to note. So this is cool. So it tells you the keyword that you inputted here. So I put in dog food. It's got it's high competition, but it's also because it's a high search. And it's going to tell you, your average spend per click if you want to be the top of the page. So it's good to know, but that's not what we're going to look for. What we're using this for is, excuse me, we're going to go to down here to the keyword idea. So these are the suggestions that Google sees that are related to dog food. So Purina, obviously huge dog brand, dog food brand. So you're going to, check that out. And so even though maybe you're not selling it, what you can do is you can weave this in and say, okay, organic, homemade, healthy dog treats versus the Purina Pro plan, or again, it's the best dog food. That's kind of top. That's a good one to mention right now. So when you're writing your topic, your keyword, always think of how to something. Like these are good blog ideas or blog titles. Best something, top, whatever, best dog food under X amount of dollars, that kind of stuff. So just think of best, top, how to, gives you a general idea of what makes sense in your industry and your product. But you got to think these are the things that people are searching for, right? So if you're selling the best organic dog food, then let's talk about that and then compare it to other versions. So like, raw dog food, is that same? Is that different? Again, to Purina dog food, to homemade. And you can even get into sharing a bit of some of your recipes. Again, this is totally up to your comfort level, but maybe if someone is just, I don't know, they can't get to the store and they want just a quick recipe or something that they could feed their dog before they can get another batch of, your dog food in. What's something that you can maybe, tie them over until that comes, the order comes in, or to supplement what they're buying, or some cheaper options so that they can keep their costs down, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to think, what you think of your core topic, like, like a brainstorm bubble, and it spiders out, right? And think of like all these other subtopics, and then, put that down in a list somewhere, and then start doing your research on that. And if it seems viable, and then if it seems like there's a good amount of people searching for it, as you search in here in the keyword planner, then start writing about those topics, and then add visuals, right? So not just words, but get visuals of, the dog breeds and of the food and of the environment, and, get creative with it, but make it engaging. So the blog isn't just words. There's got to be some, some imagery in there, and better yet, you can do both. You can do blog posts, which is the words and images, and then also maybe even do a talking piece or a showing piece to show how much your dog loves this versus this or whatever, and that could live on your YouTube channel, right? So think of ways that you can take one content topic and then create it in multiple formats. And then, for example, on Instagram, it could be a carousel, right? So again, just thinking of your different social media channels or other channels that you have online, and creating content that flows with that type of channel, just to make it engaging instead of it's just being text, because that can get boring, right? Okay, so Wikipedia, again, just real simple. Just type in dog food and see what comes up. And for example, here you'll get a whole table of contents, which is awesome. And so we have dog foods, and then there you go. We can get more granular with it. We can dive in further. So we can see kind of what the standard manufacturing process is for dog foods, and then, try to find something that's not so great about it or is a little questionable, and then maybe talk about that, and then saying how your dog food treats is more ethical and some of the things you do different because, what you're seeing in the dog food industry is, might not be the best for your pet. So therefore, with our process, it's pretty natural, it's simple, it's made, handmade, whatever it may be, right? So again, you're trying to think of like this topic, but how can you weave it into your business, and to show again that you're knowledgeable, that you're providing a superior product, and then helping them out. Because by doing so, then showing through just being helpful and teaching and discussing things, then people might try out your dog food, right? And so from this, as we go through, there's tons in here. And then when you click into it, it'll expand further. So then once you get into that subtopic, I'm sure it'll spider out into a bunch of other topics. So just quickly off the top here, even just looking at this table of contents, this is what I came up with. So you have you can do dry versus wet food, with the quality of dog food. Let's talk about diets, because puppies might require different foods and types than adults, or perhaps different breeds depending on what their jobs are or what their functioning is, what they were made for, kind of thing. Grain-free versus natural versus vegan, talking about all that. And then even foods that are dangerous to dogs, 10 foods that could kill your dog. It depends on how crazy you want to go with it, but like something like that, when you say 10 foods that could kill your dog, it's again back to copywriting and manipulating the headline a little bit, but it's if it's true, that's good, but you're making it impactful, right? So that's another thing in itself to think about is not only writing the content, but what pulls them in. So the good copywriting is compelling, it's attractive, it persuades. So that's it. So just bear those in mind as you're starting to write this stuff. But it's not just like telling factual, but like if you can make it a story, you can make it engaging, then all the better. Right. So Reddit here is forum, conversation type of social media platform, which is great, because what it allows you to do is you can search specific topics. And in this case, there's a subreddit that is for dog food, which is awesome. So now in here, it's nice and easy. I'm literally just looking at it and I'm seeing, all these great questions that you can answer in not only in Reddit, but as a blog post and content yourself. So this will give you a ton of inspiration for all of that. So let's take the first one here. So large breed puppy food. So someone's basically wondering, hey, like, does it have to be, does it have to have certain ingredients? Is there certain things that I should be looking out for? Like, is there something special that I have to be giving my dog if it's a larger breed? And so then you can jump in there and, share your information. And then I don't know the answer to this, so I'm not going to say, but let's say it is, you say why. And if it isn't, if it isn't that important what you feed a larger breed, then say so. And then you talk about maybe, again, back to your dog food, you could talk about some of the things that you've incorporated. And maybe because if you do have a large breed and a small breed dog food, like the different packages, then talk about that. And then you can always leave a link to your product. So you're being helpful, and it is a little salesy, but you didn't just go, yes, your big dog breed definitely needs different food. Here's my link. That's not helpful. That's no good. And that's too spammy. People don't like that. But put thought into it. Give them the option to, let's say there is a difference. I would say the why, and and if you only have certain food at home, it's not going to, hurt your dog to give it whatever food. But if, you do want the best for your dog, and specifically, formulated dog food, then, I also run an organic dog food business, and please feel free to check it out and ask me, let me know if you have any questions about it. Be happy to guide you in what's best for your dog breed. So as long as you're helpful and genuine, and then you share a link, I think that's totally okay. But don't just be lazy and just say, hey, check out my link. Yes, you need special food for your dog, So that goes for any industry, but again, just trying to paint that picture here for you. And as we go through, there's a bunch of other stuff here. So again, it's always about people asking for the best dog food, or maybe nutrition about their dogs. And again, it starts with dog food, but then you can branch out on your blog about the maintenance of other ways you take care of your dogs, other supplements, or how much exercise you should give your dog. So again, think of all your sub-related topics, and then that'll give you a ton of content. Okay, so quick summary. So when it comes to, again, the blogs and the keywords and creating the content, the bulk of the content will be your blogs, because in general, your website just won't have enough content on it, nor should it really. Like your main core of your sites, all your product gallery, service pages are information pages to say, hey, this is what we do. But Your blog is your area of your site. It's your journal. It's your shareable resources. It's the section of the site that can be long form, can be more educational, and is meant to be educational, meant to be helpful. And so get used to writing. And if you don't like to write, outsource it, right? But just try. I mean, if you're bootstrapping and budget's tight, try to at least write one blog a month. Something robust, something really helpful, something that you've been hearing a lot. People are asking you questions about it, something really useful and helpful that someone would search for. And again, cross-reference it with these other methods that I just showed you and the keyword planner. But then put that time in, it'll be good for you. It'll come back. And then if you have freebies, like certain checklists or certain how-tos or whatever it is, guidebooks, that kind of thing, add those in. Those should be freebies. Those should be nice incentives to grab emails. You should be collecting emails as you go along. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyways, I'm trying to keep this as a simple starter guide. But yeah, just try to be helpful, engage, write content. So your blog is going to be your core, your epicenter of everything. So put that in your mind first, and then engage with people on social media. So if you look at any of these YouTube videos of how to gain followers, how to grow your socials, blah, 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 it's engagement. And even though I know it, we get busy with our work and, things fall by the wayside. So do as I say, not as I do. But it is really about the engagement. It's about you making sure that you're connecting with people, and it's about networking, right? So yeah, it's all part of that. And that's really the only way to grow your network, because don't be paying bots and people to boost your followers, because that doesn't look good. If you have 15, 20,000 followers and then you get 0 or like 3 comments on a photo, it doesn't jive. It looks really fake. And so yeah, just do it properly. Take your time. I'll tell you right now, even with our social and like our Instagram, it's not big by any means. It's like 600 some odd people, but I understand why. I'm not on it a whole lot. I don't post a whole lot, but what I have done is anyone that does engage with us or that I do engage with, they're fellow business owners. They're those in my niche, and it's real people that I may know here in London. It's majority people that I know here in London. So that's it. And some from our YouTube that'll come over. So it's all been very organic and real, and so that's my intent with it. And from that, even if people don't engage or comment all the time, we get people still asking, inquiring about our product photography, about our websites. It's still a good business channel for us. So you don't have to have a huge following to make money. This grows year over year. And even with our first year being last year, it was great. And even with our small following, it was enough to sustain us for last year, especially during COVID. It was a double whammy, because not only was it my first year doing this business, but it was also, during COVID. So consider all things considered, to make basically the same amount that I was making in my healthcare job, I feel, super lucky. I pride myself on good customer service, helping out my clients as much as I can. Some people don't want to be friends with their clients, but I would prefer clients that I could shoot the shit with and have a beer with. That's how I like to do business. If you're working for yourself, it should be fun, and the people that you work for or with should be good too. And otherwise, if you have a string or a whole slew of just bad clients, then it's just like going to, a crappy job and just hating your days. So having good clients, having good people around you is just so much better. And that's what I strive to surround myself with. And so much like here with this course, I hope we get the chance to chat and I can help you out and see your business grow and thrive. And so that we can create a little small business community, because it's just more fun to support and, more motivating when you get to know other people that are trying to create a little something of their own, right? And then to that air, same thing. So you're answering questions, be it in person, be it in social media, be it on these platforms, be it in your blogs. It's just engaging, answering questions, and then at the end of it, trying different social platforms. Maybe Twitter works well for some industries, better than others. Pinterest for heavily visual, businesses and companies. So just try out different ones instead of just the, the usual, which is like Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. But I mean, try those, but just see what works for you. And maybe one might take off way more than the other. And maybe your time might be better writing blogs or creating digital goods. Like, you have to just go through the motions. That's part of it too. And I think that's just the fun part, and the exciting and scary part of running a small business is you don't know what you don't know. So all you can do is try. And much like a website, like online marketing, getting clients, growing a business, all it requires is a little faith, some dumb luck, and persistence, and then constant optimization. So you're always going to try a little thing here, there, and then be willing to change, be willing to pivot quickly and adapt. So yeah, a lot of it, it's cool, because then as you continue on, you know, you're going to tweak your website messaging, you're going to tweak your images, you're going to tweak your products. People are going to naturally ask, hey, can you do this? And it might be a product or service that you didn't think about. And then now that they mentioned it, you're like, hey, that might be great. And who knows, that might be a new direction for your business. So just be open to the engagement of everything, of, not to sound hippy dippy, right? But like, just to people, to criticism, to whatever it is, and just ebb and flow, and don't be tied to one thing too harshly that you just put in your mind that you'll never change, right? Like the idea of like old dog, new tricks. Like be flexible. Don't be stubborn when it comes to that, because I think that's the only way you really win in business, is to just ebb and flow and just be cool with it. So yeah, again, sorry, one of my other tangents. So with this guide, it's just about giving you the premise of what you need now to launch your site and get things rolling, and making sure that, basically the foundation is set properly. I'm going to give you some links at the end of this that you can definitely dive deeper into, because it's a very in-depth topic. So you can do as much optimization as you want, and it should be an ongoing thing. It's something you're always revisiting, always creating more content, always double checking your stuff. But for now, just this is what I'm giving you now, is the premise, kind of the basics of what you need just to get the website going. So on-page SEO refers to the efforts that you make to your page structure. So things like proper headlines or captivating headlines, and making sure that your headlines contain keywords that you're trying to rank for. Your content structure, is it readable? Is it meant for a human to read through, easily skimmable? It's not, it's got some nice media in there, and you have photos in there. It's a good experience, because Google can see that and they know that. Keywords in your URL slug. So if, for me, it could be atomicpixel.co, and then my URL slug in this case would be product photography, or maybe it could even be product photography, London, Ontario. So I'm going to be playing around with that too. That's something you can play around with. If you want to be hyper niche or hyper focused on your city, then find pages that make sense. And when it makes sense, add that into your URL. And so that's something I'm going to be trying as well. And then site speed. This is a big one. This one, again, a lot of factors. But one of the biggest ones, especially in this day and age, and for people like myself who do a lot of visual content or create visual content, I like image heavy sites. And historically, that's been a pain, because it really bogs down the site. This is where we would use something like Space Saver, or like a JPEG compressor of some sort. So that way you can really bring down the size of your files while allowing them to load really quickly. So just, keep in mind, do test on various formats, your tablet, your phone, your desktop, a friend's desktop, and see how your site is displaying and how quickly it's loading. Because if it takes a long time, people aren't going to wait around. They're going to bounce, they're going to leave, and they're not even going to check out your site. And then the more that happens, Google is going to rank you lower, because it looks like that's not what people are looking for when they click your site. So again, and then from the Google side, same thing. They don't, for the user experience. So not only are they seeing people bounce off your site, if your site isn't loading quickly enough, then they're going to kind of de-rank you or rank you lower as well. So yeah, they like to see a good, fast site, as does a user. So off-page SEO are other factors like links that link to you from either social media sources, blogs, or even just the user's personal history. So some of these things you can't control. Some ways you can control. A bit of the off-page stuff is signing up for directories. And again, don't go spamming every directory, but if it makes sense. It's local directories, Yellow Pages, Yelp, that kind of stuff. Local business directories in your city. So look at those types of things that could link to you, and that would help you give credibility as well. So that is a way to do it, but mainly off-page SEO are stuff that is kind of just out in the internet, and you can't make those changes directly on your website. So here's a good analogy here. It's basically if you think as the off-page as your exterior of your home, and then the on-page as your interior. So the idea is that we want to make it as inviting and as a nice day as possible, right? So if we look at this example here, we've got two versions. So this one here is basically your worst case scenario. So if you have links that are connecting to your site that aren't credible, and you just don't have a lot of authority and credibility in that sense, then no one's ever going to see your website or ever come in to visit because it just looks terrible from the outside. But then on the inside, they're never going to come visit no matter how nice your inside could be. And then on the flip side of that is it could have, your site, essentially your home could have the nicest exterior. It could be very inviting, but if we see all of a sudden like a hoarding mess once we get inside, then no one's ever going to stay. They're going to bounce right away. So much like keyword stuffing or just ranking for these certain keywords in a poor way, but then once I click on your blog page there, or that site that's been served up, there's no value for me there and it doesn't answer the question I was looking for, then I'm going to bounce. And then that's what Google sees as, a poor interior. So the idea and the best case scenario is that we want good credible sources. We want to be seen. And then once we get served up on the Google search, then once we get to your, inside the house, it's beautiful, it's welcoming, and there's a lot of value in there. And so I'm going to stay a while. And then the best case scenario, even beyond that, is if you have a lot of good content and it's valuable content, then even better, I'll subscribe or I'll come back to check your blog post every so often. So, and then lastly here, we have an SEO checklist and SEMrush. Actually, this is where I got this from, and here's links here. So I'm not going to rewrite all this, but basically take a look at these links here. They're awesome. And you can go through and just kind of go through this checklist and just see, what you should be making sure that you have in place, and just make sure you don't miss anything. Squarespace also has this really good checklist. So again, the link here, and just walk through it. It's going to go through everything from just making sure all your URLs are proper, your social media images are in place, your images are named properly, they're optimized, and it'll walk right through that. So, but beyond that, be sure to check out the Google Analytics. So there is analytics in Squarespace itself, but it's not as robust as Google. So always good to have both. Google Search Console is essentially, it tells you the health of your website. So if you have broken links, if you have anything missing, maybe sometimes I get alerts if it thinks some of my font is too small or spans weird on mobile, it lets you know. It can also help you with some keyword stuff as well, what people are finding you for, and actually what it is serving your site up for, like the keywords. And if you're not ranking high, you're not getting a lot of clicks, then that can also be a good indicator to say, hey, maybe I should go and write blog content about this topic because I'm getting served up on Google, but then people aren't really clicking it, or I'm not ranking as high as I should be. So it's a nice area of opportunity there. And then for sure, Google My Business. It's basically, especially if you have a physical space, but even for us, we have our studio and everything at home. And so it's just good to have up there so that you have this hub where your clients can leave Google reviews, which then again gives you credibility, can help boost your SEO rankings, especially locally. And it's just good credibility for the sense of as a potential customer, because I'd like to see what other people are saying and what other people's experiences are. So anytime you can do and have social proof, definitely do so. So that's something to make sure, and always try to get reviews from every customer. Okay, so again, just recap, content is king. So do some keyword research, understand what social media platforms work for you, and then just engage, be helpful, answer questions, and create as much valuable content on your blog as much as you can, because then it goes out into the world and people will see your business through that, because chances are they'll land on your blog posts and those longer form content instead of just your service pages. So that's where you want to be helpful. And then from there, people will, give them a call to action if it makes sense in that topic. If not, people will naturally likely look at your other content or products if you've done a good job. So yeah, and this is just the basics. Look at these links here, do your own research as well if you'd like. But I just wanted to give you a nice outline just so you had a reasonable understanding and a nice foundation just to start your website. And then from there, it's a deep rabbit hole you can jump down to if you really want to learn more about SEO. And it is an ongoing thing. So writing content and content creation is an ongoing thing. Optimizing each page is an ongoing thing. So the idea is that just get the site up and going and know these basics, and then allocate some time each month and then come back to revisit and optimize your site as you go along. And if you have any questions, by all means, again, reach out to me, let me know. And happy to help however I can. So, okay, I'll end it here, and hopefully that was helpful. All right, see you guys.